Morning, Cornesy. A lot of fun, a lot happening. I'm looking forward to the last 5 weeks of footy. It's just all coming to a head, isn't it, with the bottom bracket of the 8?
Yep.
And, of course, the squeeze on between second and third. Who's going to get second position on the AFL table?
It's not a lock at all. It's not a lock at all. And there is some big games starting now and right through to the end of the year. So, I mean, the game tonight is just gigantic for Carlton. We know that. The Western Bulldogs and the Giants, what a game that is. And I've got a significant eye on Essendon and Sydney. Can the Bombers get it done when they need to and when they should? You can join in and have your say, as always, the IMAR Insurance Open Line. I just want to start with this. I'm concerned that the three most significant individual awards that you can win in the league have become a farce, Kingy. So I speak of...
A farce?
Yep. I speak of the Brownlow medal, and we all know that you cannot win the Brownlow medal unless you play in the midfield. Now, is that right, that the game's most prestigious individual award can only be won by midfielders? So it hasn't been since 2007 when Adam Goodes won it, and you could argue that he essentially played as an extra midfielder in the ruck, that a non-midfielder has won it. So I go, okay, we all sort of accepted that and recognise that we speak about it from time to time, but we just sort of move on and brush it off. I then had a look at the Coaches Award, and I wrote about this in the Age yesterday, and 19 of the 20 in the top 20 of the Coaches Award are midfielders. Like what is going on? You all year have spoken about the importance of the intercepting defender and how vital that is, to the point where maybe it is the most crucial position on the field. And if you don't have one to use, I think, without putting words in your mouth, you can't win it without one. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And none of them recognised by the coaches. So that's probably the second most prestigious individual award, and 19 of the 20 are midfielders. And then the Lee Matthews Trophy is voted by the players, who a lot of them don't watch footy. And I've seen it happen. They tick a couple of boxes and move on. Some take it seriously, of course, but a lot of the players don't take that award seriously. Is it right that the three most prestigious individual awards have gone this way?
Well, I think it's logical that the midfielders get more opportunity.
Is that right, though?
Well, it is right, because they get more opportunity to influence the game. There are probably 4 times as many contests as key intercepting defenders, and probably 4 times as many contests as key power forwards.
Do we need to weight the way that we recognise what they're doing differently?
But do you think you can win games of footy if you get smashed out of the middle?
No, you can't, but there's a lot that goes into that. I also don't think you can win games if you're uncompetitive. Like, look at what the Giants have done and the way that they've defended the inside 50, and how their success has coincided with Taylor, your man, back, and Buckley, and the way that they have a heap of inside 50s against, but they defend. So if that's not happening, there's no way they win 6 in a row and their season goes. So,
but they're not getting dominated in the middle. They got the games, our man Briggsy, the ruckman in the guts, and then they've got their senior core players like Kelly's having a fantastic year, probably in your All-Australian 40 at the moment. Cornelio's in there, Ward's in good form.
There's heaps of good midfielders. They're everywhere.
So they're not getting smashed.
You can't tell me that, like, John Newcombe has been more influential this year than Darcy Moore. You can't with a straight face say that. Yeah.
No, but I could say that Nick Daicos going from a half-back flank to a midfield role has elevated his damage on the game.
Yeah, no, that is fair. But, like, there's so many examples of this. Taylor got 0 Brownlow votes last year, not one. Your man Sam Taylor did not receive a Brownlow medal vote last year, and he's received 1 career vote. 1. Now, if you think that's okay, then that's fine. But I think it's disrespectful to the other positions in the midfield. And
so give me the top 10 then. How should it read? How should it read?
In terms of the top 10 most valuable players?
Yeah, so right now you've got Daicos at the top. Who's in front of him of the key position players?
No one's in front of Daicos. No, I'm not arguing that. Like, his individual season has been exceptional, but you could not tell me that Darcy Moore wouldn't rank in the top 20 most influential players this year. You can't. Now, I haven't forensically looked at my top 10 and done a list, but if you're telling me that the influence that guy's had on one particular team is not in the top 20, like, that's a joke. So it's become...
Don't mind it, but I think it's consistent.
Yeah, well, last year I looked at it. So Jeremy Cameron was 7th in the Coaches Award. He was the first non-midfielder, and there were some others that were recognised in there. Blixarves was recognised. Callum Mills didn't play full time in the midfield. He was recognised. But I just think the Brownlow Medal Midfields Award has now infiltrated the coaches. 1300 736 736. It is Friday. First thoughts thanks to Loop Logics. Loop Logics, the Swiss Army knife of construction management. What do you got for me?
Now, I'm going to put up on our little Twitter feed, and we're sort of stealing some stuff that we've done before on other mediums. We've done it at Fox. I know a couple of others have done it elsewhere, but we want to have a bit of fun with it. Just looking at players through the week and working out, we have an ability to talk up some players that are just getting reasonable numbers and an ability to talk down players when it suits us, I think. And we can skew the logic. So just looking at forward 50 players, right? And I'm going to put up three comparisons. I want you to have a look at it when you get a chance, Cornsey. Mm-hmm. So player 1's kicked 22 goals, player 2's kicked 18, player 3's kicked 23. So not a massive disparity. And then I'll put the forward 50 score involvement. So that's the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest possession in the game.
So not just a score involvement, a forward 50 score involvement.
Forward 50. So when the ball goes into a scoring area, your ability to then ensure that goes on the scoreboard. That to me is it elevates your worth. Okay, so a major part of that's contested possession. So winning your own ball, creating a score in the forward 50, and then I just put the defensive side of the game, the tackles. But I'm not massive on the tackling, so don't hold me to that, because it generally means you haven't got the nugget, which is an issue. So of those three players, I want you to try and guess. I want you to try and guess for me who they are, because one of them. You've
only given me the goal so far, though. I need the forward 50 score involvement.
Forward 50 score. So the first player has kicked 22 goals.
Yep.
He's had 47 score involvements. And he averages just over 2 contested possessions in the forward 50. The second player has kicked 4 less goals and he kicked 18. He's had 61 forward 50 score involvements, so a little bit more action inside 50. And he averages 3.5 contested possessions in the forward 50.
I'm just going to let's go the third.
The third player has kicked 23 goals. He's had 54 score involvements and he averages close to 3 contested possessions inside the forward 50. So he's in the middle with the contested possessions.
So these 3 players that you feel like we haven't spoken enough about this year?
One of them is a Hall of Famer. One of them is a second-year player. And one of them you have talked up considerably.
Okay, so one of them would be Dustin Martin.
He's 18 goals, 61. Yep.
The other one would be Owens.
Yep. And he's 23 goals.
And the other one would be Baker.
No.
Whoa.
The other one's Zach Bailey. So my point is, if you want to talk about the rising star discussion, you've got to compare what this guy's doing inside 50, where it's the hardest place on the field to win your own ball, and all strategy goes into denying that. And you've got to talk about his influence on scoring. So if his numbers are in some way, shape or form comparable to a Zach Bailey or a Dustin Martin, then I think you have to elevate the importance of this player. So the Sheasel discussion will be strong, and I'm not arguing against Sheasel or for him. He's getting a lot of ball in a team that's struggling. So credit to the season he's having. But let's be honest, if Wardlaw had played 20 games, we would probably have him in front of Sheasel with the dynamic play that
he's a weapon, that guy.
So I'm not talking down Sheasel at all, so don't think I am. And then you've got Ashcroft, who's banked a fair body of work to say that he's a more than capable midfielder in a gun outfit and has held his spot all year and done some amazing things. But his numbers aren't outstanding in terms of score involvements. Are they as good as Owens? I'd say they're about the same. So they're different sorts of players.
I like it. So what we have done and will do is post it to our social account. You can check it out, SEN Breakfast. Kingy's blind footy resume. You're not really going to get. I'd love to argue with you, but you're not going to get much of an argument with me, but it is good to highlight that. Like I love Zach. Yeah.
You're not a voter, eh?
No, I am.
You are?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I love Zach Bailey as a player, so I don't want to talk him down, but when you put those numbers up, I mean, it's pretty compelling. And I'm a huge Owens fan.
So Saints fans should be really excited about this
Saints fans should be excited. 1300 736 736. You can check that out. As we move on, players' futures have been a bit topical this week. On Monday, I just had a thought about. So Rory Sloane from Adelaide, he's desperate to play on. He's absolutely desperate. And I'm watching him going, I don't know if I was Adelaide when you've got Berry and Saligo and Schoenberg and Pedler needs more midfield time. Like, he's played forward, but he's essentially going to be a midfielder. At what point is it the right time to sit these champions of your footy club down and take that decision out of their hands. So firstly, here's Rory Sloane speaking on Channel 7.
I'll play on for as long as I possibly can. I don't think I'd retire. I think I'll be delisted at some point. I think that's what's going to happen.
And he's having a joke about it, but he's serious. He went again this week. He said, I'm not going quietly. And Richmond have sort of done similar with Cochin and Revolt. They've allowed them to make the call on whether they play on or not. But I think it's up to the club to steer these champions of your footy club who are so competitive and want to play forever into the right way. So quick fire quiz this morning, Kingy. It's that time of year where we're making decisions about these real players that have contributed so much. Would you sign these players on for another year? We'll start with Buddy.
If I'm Sydney?
Yep.
No. I think I'd find a way to exit him in his own way. Just before you start this, I want to put on the table that I think what Richmond are doing is really smart with Jack and Trent. And Sam Emben said last night that they've been told it's up to them if they want to play on.
Yeah, do you think that's right?
I do. I love that because there's no guarantee of selection. If you play on, you might be in the reserves.
Yeah. This
is your call.
So as long as that's the discussion you're having with them, there is no guarantee. If there's a young player that's gone past you, you may play the full season in the twos, and if you're happy with that, you can put your hand up to go on again. But I'd be having pretty strong conversations. So
that's my discussion with Buddy.
Yeah,
mate. We will definitely. We're happy to have you go on. It won't be on the full rack rate that you've had. It'll be on a normal contract. There'll be bonuses built in. But if you want to play on, if your form dips like it has a little bit over the last couple of years, you may be squeezed out of the team for some of the developing forwards that we need to get games into.
Yeah, I'm just a hard no on Buddy. I would sit him down and say, no, thank you, but we need to move on.
I'd let him make the call, right. But that would be the parameters.
So would Rory Sloane get another year for you?
I'd take Rory Sloane and the Kangaroos in a heartbeat.
You would?
Yeah, a good solid leader.
Would Adelaide, if you were Adelaide,
they'd let him go. They'd let him go.
If you're Adelaide, would you want to keep him?
Yeah, I'm not rushing him out the door. I think there's more leadership between the hours of outside of the 2 hours of a weekend that are really important to your program. And again, I'll get to him later on, but I would have him in a heartbeat.
Zeeble?
Being a Warrior, thanks, Jack.
Heppel?
Same. I think he's performed his task at the Bombers and finishes on a high note.
Nick Nat?
Has been effectively retired for 12 months.
There's some talk that he's going to go again. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that talk that they're going to allow him to do a pre-season and go again. Shuey's probably, I think we're both in agreement that his body probably not going to be able to hold up. This one's probably in the similar vein as Rory Sloane, but Travis Boak has essentially been dropped for the Showdown. Would you have him go around again?
He's had a quiet season. He's had a really quiet patch recently. It's probably his first real quiet patch, though, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it'd be a severe call to cut him at this start. You go one more. You go one more and you hope that he corrects at the start of next season.
I just hope he has a crack at trying to get that premiership that I think he deserves. Tom Jonas.
See, another one, though, that could go to another club and have two to 3 years and then build into a coaching career.
Jonas.
Tom Jonas, he's done. We all know that. No, thanks, Todd. Been amazing, but move on.
Daniel Rich.
Done.
Revolt. Jack.
No, I think Jack will make the right call. He'll be great in the media, Jack.
Cochin.
Same.
Isaac Smith.
No, he's playing some reasonable footy. If he wanted to go again, I'd entertain it, but he might play some VFL.
And finally, Tom Hawkins probably goes again, doesn't he?
It goes again. Definitely goes again. Of all of those, he's probably the most likely to go again.
I reckon there's some others as well. You can have your say on that. Never an easy thing for clubs to do. In fact, probably one of the most difficult things that they could do.
So we disagree on Buddy.
Yeah, I'm a hard no on Buddy. I'm probably a hard no on Sloane as well. But all the others, I think I'm probably in
Why are you a
agreement.
hard no on Sloane? That amazes me.
I just think...
It doesn't hurt you to have him. It doesn't hurt you to have him around the edges, given they've been great leaders.
With where they're at, and I just look at his body, and he's just not impacting like he was. And the young players, there's 4 or 5 of them that need minutes. Like Saligo's in the twos. They've signed him till 2029. These guys have to play at Adelaide, and their midfield is a bit... it's a bit of those, Berry and Laird and Sloane. Anyway, we disagree on that.
Yeah, good morning, boys. I was just thinking, with McKay, if he was to move, and hit that threshold with for the priority pick. Can I assume, is that pick number 3 if North finishes second? Is that correct?
That's the talk, Nick. Yep.
Depends on the finances involved, but that would be the likely outcome.
Threshold. If that was the case, and with the, I guess, the hype around Reid and so forth, would it be feasible for North to swap 2 and 3 for number 1 with the West Coast?
Kingy?
Reid gets to stay in Melbourne and West Coast get a couple of extra picks?
It's a good question. I don't know is the answer. I think the Kangaroos need volume more than the one player at this stage, which brings me to a discussion I'd rather have to go a bit deeper. Nick, if you're a Kangas fan, listen for the next 5 minutes. But so I think that'll happen, Cornesy. I think that he'll move on. He'll get a deal similar to the Joe Danaher situation where they'll sign for overs at the start and then they'll water the deal down 6 months later. But in essence, we'll get that first round pick. So picks 2 and 3 would be the Kangas. Mm-hmm. I think the NGA approval will go through on Sanders, the Indigenous program, the academy down in Tasmania.
And is he viewed as a top 5er?
No, I think he's viewed as a top 20er.
Okay.
Maybe a top 15er. But this gets me, so the biggest asset up for grabs in the game right now is the Gold Coast Suns first round pick. Because they do not need that pick. They've got 3 top 10 types that are academy selections. So they only need picks for points. And those picks can be in the 20s and the 30s, and they can scoop the pool with those 3 picks. So I'm wondering whether the Kangaroos can do a deal with the Gold Coast Suns, and it may cost them Taron Thomas. I know they were into Taron a year ago. Not much has changed with Taron from last year to this year, in terms of being a known product, both on and off the field. Could the Kangaroos do a deal with the Suns? Would the Suns take Taron Thomas with their pick 5, given that they've got to do something with it anyway?
I wouldn't have thought so.
You wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't trade.
If you were the Suns, you wouldn't do it?
Well, I would be looking at other options for that pick 5 at other clubs, and that would be a pick that a lot of clubs would want to get their hands on. And I think they can do better than Taron Thomas.
Better than Taron?
Yeah.
See, I'll be interested to hear who better than Taron was.
Well,
the kid can play. He's 23 years of age.
So why would North Melbourne let him go? They need talent. They need speed. They need everything. If the kid can play and he's, and they're willing to see him as part of the future, North Melbourne aren't trading Taron Thomas. So clearly there's a reason why. And I don't, I
think it might be good for both parties.
I wouldn't be going anywhere near him.
Yeah, so you're coming from the Suns angle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I'm North, I'm absolutely trying to shop him, but I'm just not sure. And then there'll be a taker for him. Someone will tip into Taron Thomas, but I would have thought it's an early second round sort of pick than a pick 5.
So if that were to go through, right, you'd end up with 2, 3, 5, Sanders, and then potentially 17, maybe not.
It's a good platform.
Well, it just gives you a chance with these other kids coming through, and I that way the AFL do not have to give a concession pick. There's no priority concessions then.
So if you're big on and you're passionate about the compensation picks for clubs, if you're Hawthorn and you're listening to this...
I've never asked for North Melbourne to get one.
No, just about the broader aspect of helping clubs that are struggling. Yeah.
They've all had them.
So if you're Hawthorn and you're driving along and you're Sam Mitchell listening to our program and you're hearing that and North are going to have 2, 3, potentially 5, another academy prospect, and the Hawks are going, hang on, we've strategically gone about our rebuild to do this right now when other clubs aren't doing it. What are we getting? Like,
they got Franklin or Roughhead, whichever way you want to look at it, during their prime years, which set up a dynasty, a legit dynasty.
But now, or if you're West Coast, they're listening going, what are we getting?
But how? I'm not arguing for a priority pick. I'm not. But I'm just saying, when do you qualify? How many poor years do you need to have to qualify?
I just think it's dangerous ground to go because of the effect that it has on the other clubs as well.
We'll never give one. Let's just put a line through the whole thing. This is not a North discussion. This is a discussion. If you're worried about teams being a blight on the competition down the bottom, which has been a conversation every third week this year, then you can't have the counter argument with the priority picks, with the concessions to actually elevate them and get them going again. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, there's just dangerous ground when there's more than one club that needs it.
Yeah, true. But we've been here before. We've been here before, and we maybe gave overs as the priority picks before the draft started. They were given picks before we even got rolling. You know, Hawthorn and I think it was Hawthorn, was Collingwood, was Richmond, was, you know, it was just too much. Picks in the mid-first round.
We need to hear from the AFL more on this. Like, does there need to be more transparency on what their actual strategy is, if they've got one? Because right now, it doesn't feel like there is any blanket, you know, help package and what it is. It just changes every year. Like North last year, a couple of second-round picks that they had to trade or something like that. Where's that? Like, where's that ever happened? So I just think some more transparency from the AFL on what they are prepared to do for clubs. Like West Coast have been poor for 3 years. But they're going, well, North are going to get 2, 3 and something else. Like they're going,
what if they,
what about us?
let me get back to the Taron Thomas discussion. What if they paid his wage for 2 years? Took the salary cap pressure off the Suns. These are the sorts of things you can do.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Suns, I'm saying, righto, I know what you're going to do with pick 1, and I probably know what you're going to do with pick 2. What if they traded?
Taron Thomas would go on the Gold Coast, where the pressure is off, the spotlight isn't there, the lifestyle is
well,
relaxed.
it's up to him, isn't it? It's up to him. He's had his chances.
It's a big risk for Gold Coast.
Well, maybe it's not Taron. Maybe the Suns try and get to pick 3, and if they can keep pick 3 and then get these 3 guns, and just do a deal with the Kangaroos that they don't bid on Walters at 2. Then all of a sudden the Suns get 4 guns. And we probably need that as a competition as much as the Kangaroos getting some picks.
Who's in the gun and what is this all about?
We're going to put one in the gun every week, right? Because I just feel like this is what we do.
Coach,
it can go anywhere.
All right.
It can go anywhere. I'll tell you what I'm putting in the gun this week. Toby Green's opponent.
Oh, I was going to put them in the gun.
Toby Green's opponent.
We have not convened. All right, explain why.
Well, Toby Green against the Dogs. This is his form against the Dogs. The last 5 times he's played against the Western Bulldogs. 7 goals, 2, 4-1, 3-1, 2-2, 4 straight. Now, this guy is on fire. Now, the Giants are not letting anyone score. So their back end is bulletproof. Their midfield is solid. Their forward line is Toby Green. So if they stop Toby Green, the Dogs win the game. But who is going to get the responsibility?
Who's the poor unfortunate soul?
Yes. Well, I don't know who it's going to be.
And Richards?
Well, I don't know who it's going to be. There's been a whole host. He's cleaned them all up in the past. Well, probably Taylor first up, I would say. He's their lockdown type, and then it's Richards, and then it's who? It's a raffle after that.
There's no plan C.
2 ways of looking at it. Does Toby go in the gun? Because if you can deliver another 4 or 5 goal performance, you get your team steamrolling towards the finals? Or is it Toby's opponent who salvages a victory for the Dogs and corrects their season to some point? But I'm putting his opponent in the gun. Do not let Toby goal side. If you do, we will show it on every show.
Yep.
On Sunday, Monday and Tuesday.
He's so quick at getting goal side. Like, he reads it so quickly. So I like it. I was going to put the Dogs in the gun just as a side, and more so Bevo, because to welcome back Rory Lobb, I think is a questionable thing to do. The forward line is going pretty well, as good as it's looked all year with Norton, Ugle-Hagan and Waitman, and Lobb comes back in. How does that disrupt things? And you've spoken about the Giants' defence. I'm not sure where he plays, Lobb. Like, he's just going to plonk himself in the forward pocket and call in long balls again and be outmarked? Or is he going to... Where's he going to play, Lobb?
9-1-1, I call him. In America, that's what you call in case of emergency. He's 9-1-1. He's 9 touches a week. He's 1 contested mark, and he's 1 goal.
Yeah. And then
9-1-1.
He'll go in the ruck for 10% of the game to help out Tim English, but he doesn't want to be in there either. So I thought, not for the first time, the selection at the Dogs was interesting. Now, it may pay off, but I don't think he's going to add anything to the forward line, which has looked pretty good. I want to ask you, is football hate a good thing? Let's have a listen to this from Ryan Burton from Port Adelaide, who spoke on SEN SA during the week.
Yeah, I love it. I hate the football club. I think we all do. That's nothing new.
It's a strong word.
I love playing against them. They're always great games, and the build-up's great. So, I'm gonna enjoy Saturday night hopefully, and walk away with 4 points and the trophy.
I hate the football club. You're speaking about the Adelaide Football Club, of course. It adds to the rivalry. I can't imagine any other team speaking like that about a rival a couple of days out from a game. Like I can't imagine Patrick Cripps coming out saying on a Wednesday, "I hate the football club," referring to Collingwood. It's a unique rivalry, isn't it, King? Is it a good thing?
Is it real? Is it really?
Well, I think
does he really hate him?
I think he does.
Does he?
Why else would he say it?
I don't know. It's just a part of the build-up, isn't it? It's part of the theatre. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's true, and I think it's. Like when he first said that, I was listening. There's no way I would have said that as a player because you're too scared about giving the opposition ammunition. But not sure that they need any further ammunition. But anyway, it's going to be a fascinating showdown. They're always good games. That was Ryan Burton. What do you got? Last
chance saloon. How long can you go getting 4, 4, 8 and 6 disposals? And I know you play a little bit of ruck. Mason Cox was in for 16 hitouts last week. The squeeze is on at Collingwood. 100%. And I think what they will do, they'll have a little look at maybe some more more forward minutes from De Goey in the next few weeks. I don't even know if they need the extra tall down there anymore. They got Myercheck and McStay, who are beasts in the air, and they got Johnson on the sidelines that's in very good form. And they got the opportunity to maybe pick an extra defender to free up Darcy Moore with Frampton. I think this is a huge night tonight for Mason Cox in the Collingwood forward line. Not as a ruckman, in the forward line.
I don't disagree. I'm with you. I don't see what they see. Clearly, they see something structurally with Mason Cox because I don't see it. Every now and then he bobs up and takes a contested mark and kicks a goal inside forward 50, but it's rare for him to do that. Surprised they played him in the wet against Port Adelaide. Conditions weren't conducive to him, and they've just got so many good players. So, no, I'm with you. I would have said the same thing about Jake Stringer. Last chance saloon for him. 8 possessions, but unsurprisingly, he's injured again. And the other one on the last chance saloon on the agenda is Ben King at the Gold Coast, I would have thought. Hasn't kicked a goal for 4 weeks, I'm going to say.
Hasn't been competitive.
Has been uncompetitive. So, last opportunity for Ben to actually show something, whether that's in a different position, more up the ground, I'm not sure, but he's on his last chance. If there's anyone else you think needs to be in good form to turn their form around, let us know your thoughts. Now, Nick Daicos is brilliant. We all get it, and we all understand it, and Damien Barrett on Wednesday night said he's on the cusp of re-signing until the end of 2029. Now, the conversation then goes from how can you stand out when you're having an opinion on it? And I've heard that he's the next $2 million man, Kingy. I think that's completely ridiculous. Like as good as he is, to think that you could pay one player $2 million when right now the salary cap is $14 million. Now, some of that may be projecting forward when the cap goes up. I understand that, but to commit 14% of your salary cap to one player would be setting yourself up for all sorts of trouble. He is great, but it is a broad team game. It's not basketball where you've got 5 players. You've got $14 million to spend across 44 players. You can't pay one player 14% of your cap. You can't. As good as you are. You can't. You can't. You're not going to win if you do that. You can't do it.
Oh yeah, well,
you can't, Kingy. You can't pay him.
We're going to have to agree to disagree.
You can't pay him $2 million.
Not under the current number, but he'll sign a 7-8 year deal.
What percentage?
And the 8th year might be $2 million.
Can you commit to one player of your cap? I know it's
Dusty's drawn what, and Buddy have drawn what out of those two teams?
Yeah, but Sydney haven't
1.2, 1.4.
Sydney haven't won it. Richmond have.
Yeah, but you're talking about what they're worth. I mean, the Buddy's more than paid for what they've.
Yeah.
He's returned in spades what they've paid for him.
I think if you want to set yourself up for success, you got to be very careful by committing too much of a percentage to one player.
I did a project during the week, and I'm just.
You've been busy during the week.
I have. I've had a big week. The worth. So there's a lot of junk in footy, right? There's a lot of junk possession. So I'm trying to trim the fat, right? And I fear that we're becoming a handballing game.
Yep.
I fear that we're going too far. And I look at Sam Mitchell, and he's trying to get ahead of the curve.
Dogs.
And he's gone extreme handball. So there's about 215 kicks per team per game, and of that, about 75 of them are turnovers or ineffective. So there's only 140-odd kicks that are worth it, that are effective. Of that, 10 go sideways and backwards. So there's 130 Of the 130, Nick Daicos and Josh Daicos are probably 30 of those 130 that are effective. So I beg to differ that the elite kickers in the comp are worth significantly more than the turnover merchants you put everywhere else. So I think that the money is accurate.
You think $2 million is you can afford to pay
in
one
8 years'
player
time,
$2 million bucks?
In 8 years' time, he'll be on $2 million.
Wayne Carey was earning what, $1 million bucks?
The salary cap was about $4.5 million at that stage.
I know, but we haven't wages haven't advanced significantly on that. I think
that was 1996.
Yeah, to double what the highest paid player is getting now in 8 years, and to commit that much for one player, I don't know. I think that would be risky. Hey, I got a couple of extra additions to your dig last week, which was around anyone getting mentioned for the All Australian team. So if you have a couple of good weeks, the discussion automatically goes, he's got to be in the All Australian contention. So I got a couple on the list. I had Blixarves last week, who had been put on the agenda in terms of All Australian discussion. I thought, no, not this year, not this year for Mark. I've had another one this week. John Newcombe, great season. Love what he's done as a player, but is he in the All Australian discussion? When we look at the midfielders,
Brad Johnson brought in Jamie Elliott.
Yes, he did.
He's in his team.
He is in his team.
I didn't hear you burr up about that.
I did. I did say that. I said no.
Very weak.
I did. I spoke about the fact that Collingwood hadn't nominated him at the halfway point of the year as one of their 7 players for All Australian contention. So I did bring that up, and I thought, how would Charlie Cameron feel about that? He's kicked 40, so I did. But the discussion around a couple of good weeks automatically puts you into All Australian contention. I liked your dig last week, and I just wanted to add a name there.
Can I just read this out? Michael sent this through a few times. That's very true, King. The Bombers haven't won a final. Maybe they should be given draft consideration to help them win a final. North traded away their players and bought in crap. Now they want a hand for their mistakes. I bet you don't read this out. Have a great morning, Michael. We don't take anything personally here, mate.
Not from Ligma, was it?
No, from Michael. That was very good last week. Hey, I want to put something on the agenda.
Good.
From round 20 onwards, it's a fringe players' graveyard. The outs. When you look at the outs this week going forward, guys like Paddy Dow, Ed Curnow, Josh Honey, your man Denver Granger Barras. Oh. This is the preview to your delistings. The outs now on those fringy types. The pressure's on. There's always something to gain from a block of football. Those guys are fighting for survival now over the next month. And we wish all of them the best, but I think it tells a pretty clear tale.
Particularly once you become ineligible for finals. So if you're then getting left out for a team that's not going to play finals at this stage of the year, you're in all sorts of trouble.
Before we leave your discussion, right, what is Nick Daicos worth? Give me a figure.
No, well, see the 1
million.
No,
don't say he's not worth 2 and don't have a number. What's the number?
Give you a number.
Well, it's taken a while.
You can't pay him any
more.
Stop
stuttering and give me a figure.
You cannot pay him any more than $1 million a season. You can't.
$1 million? You were giving De Koning $1 million. He hasn't touched it for 10 weeks.
I wasn't giving it to him. Ridiculous clubs were giving it to him, and the offers were there.
$1 million. That is ridiculous.
Well, how much better is he?
He's the number 1 player in the comp this year. You want to give him? You want to pay him the 15th rated wage?
How much of a percentage is he better than Christian Petrarca? Like, is he 10% better?
You are doing your list management profile a disservice here.
You cannot pay him at this stage. He's a third-year player coming to his third year. $1 million.
He's a second-year player, isn't he?
No, he's coming into his third year. So that
he will have won the Brownlow. He'll win the MVP. He'll be all Australian. You'll probably make him all Australian captain.
I get it. He's having the
he's
best
part of a
individual
dynasty
season since Martin, but it's a risk to pay one player so much of your salary cap. It is.
I think some of it's off field, but
he's going to clean up. Like, he's not going to be short of a dollar.
Mate, he's $1.5. He'll be the highest paid player in the AFL.
Is he $1.5 next year?
Why wouldn't he be? I mean, the only reason he's not is because you've got to try and balance your payments some way. In 3 years' time, he'll be $1.5 million. 2 years' time, $1.5 million. He's worth every penny, mate.
It's a big number.
It's still a bargain.
You're going to lose a few. You're going to lose a few.
You want to pay him $1 million.
$1 million
That's
next
ridiculous.
year. Yeah, next year he's worth $1 million next year. No, I wouldn't pay him any more. I don't think he's
even if you put him on a bonus structure, an incentive program, he'd blow that to the shizen.
I don't think he's 15% better than Christian Petrarca. I don't.
You don't.
No. Or Bond.
Okay.
Or Bond. Like, they're around that.
He is 20.
No, I get all of that. This isn't a criticism. I'm just
You'll
saying.
put him in the Hall of Fame before he's finished his career.
The talk of $2 million a season, the effect that has on everyone else is too significant, and that will affect your on-field success. Anyway, that was the Friday agenda.